How's everybody doing on this beautiful Sunday? I decided I'm gonna make another video today. In my previous video, I was talking about my home setup in my apartment, which requires a lot of setting up, some Googling or YouTube videos, instructions, or whatever it may be if you haven't set up a network like that before. So admit it's not that simple, plus you have to run some wires, you have to wire your access points, you have to connect your gateway and everything else. So a great alternative is the Amplifi system. Basically what it is, you have this little box, which is the router, and it also has a built-in touchscreen, which is great for a few features, plus a few insights. I will get back to that point in a minute. So your components basically is your router, as well as your mesh point. What's great about the mesh points is, or what's great about the whole system is it's really simple to set up compared to the other one. Basically all you do is you plug in the router, you take out your phone, you have an Amplifi app for it, and yeah, the next thing is you have this mesh point. Depending on where you at, you have different plugs, and you have the antenna, and you just plug it in together. It snaps right on. You plug it into your power outlet, and the whole thing's gonna look something like this. So once it's plugged in, what it does is it looks for signal. It has the signal bar in front, and it goes from 1 to 5. The more the better, of course, because it takes your network signal. So if it doesn't have signal, it's kind of hard to reproduce it to the rest of your house. You take this little router unit, you plug it into power. It has USB-C on the back. You plug in your network cable. Then next up, you're gonna plug in your WAN, your wide area network, or your ISP internet line. And then you have 4 gig Ethernet ports in the back, which you can connect to either 4 different devices, or in my case, we have it connected to our switch in the basement. So we have one coming in and one going out, and of course the power line. Next up, you take your phone, you open the app. The thing has built-in Bluetooth, so it's really straightforward. I'm not even going to show it right now because it's so simple to do. It's kind of like a guided tour on the phone app. What's there to mention is you have way less features than with the Unifi system. It's both from Ubiquiti, actually. So this one is the Ubiquiti Nash, home consumer setup. The other one I have is the Unifi system, which is a bit more prosumer grade, I would say. Same goes for the controls. So if you have the cloud key, it's pretty simple because you have an app that's on your phone, which is really, really detailed, as well as the web interface you can access from around the world. Using the Amplifi system, you don't have the web interface. They just started a beta I saw earlier, but all you can do is you can see a floor plan and kind of simulate how strong your signal would be. So yeah, it's kind of not that useful to me. The app they made is pretty cool. You have a few basic features. You can see your throughput, you can see connected devices, you can change the Wi-Fi settings, the SSID, your Wi-Fi name, your passwords, and create guest networks, set how many guests you have. There's a lot of stuff you can do. But you don't get into detail like, routing, having different IP ranges, but all of that stuff you usually don't need if you buy the system. The reason we actually bought this one for the house, which has way more Wi-Fi devices than my apartment, is in my apartment I didn't mind running a few wires because it's quite small, so I connected most of the devices directly via the wire. And here the situation is we have a lot of Wi-Fi devices because we didn't want to retrofit wires, and you don't want to have running wires, you can see all over the place. And roughly 2 years ago, whenever Ubiquiti came out with this Amplifi mesh network, we decided let's give that one a try. You have different options to buy. You can either buy just the router with the screen, which is good for smaller apartments. You can buy the mesh points by itself, or like shown on their website, you can buy a package, which is their Mesh Point HD package, where you have 2 mesh points and the router included. So we thought, why buy the biggest? It might be overkill because here we really don't use it. So instead what we did is we just bought the router and 1 mesh point because we knew the router wasn't gonna be enough. So far for roughly the 2 years that we're using it, we were pretty fine with the 1 mesh point. We have the router sitting in our living room, and we have a mesh point upstairs in the office. And pretty much the whole house we have a smart TV that uses it for streaming a bunch of stuff. We have the Bose sound touch systems that's streaming. Yeah, and the few laptops and smartphones around. but everything else is hardwired, so it's not too bad. Anyway, the signal is great. I can be outside in my garage and I still have Wi-Fi signal. Before we barely had Wi-Fi signal in the house itself, so that's a big improvement. So let's go over to what the touchscreen does for you. The touchscreen is basically a one-to-one interface of what the app shows you, minus the settings where you can say I want to, change my password, change the Wi-Fi name, etc. But of everything else, you can see the screen is perfectly fine. The best part is whenever there's a software update available, you don't have to pull out your computer and you have to download an update or whatever. It shows you a message on the screen. So on this little screen, it'll show you software update available, install now, and you can just say no and it pops up again. Or you just say install now and then it'll install it, and it will also update the mesh points. All right, let's plug this one back in so we can see how it performs speed-wise and coverage-wise. So once you plug it in, you start it up. And now since it's set up, you're ready to go. So coming back to the touchscreen, it's pretty neat because right now it shows you the time, which, well, you don't need a wall clock if you have this run, which I think was pretty neat. But it's not just a screen, it's also a touchscreen, so it shows you different things. For once, it shows you the time. You click it once, you can see you use data. So basically you can see the 6.5 gig was uploaded and the 52 gig was downloaded. So if you click it again, you can see some information. You can see your wide area network IP address. So in our case, we have a double net due to our modem, but also it would just show your internet or your ISP's IP. And below you can see your router's IP. What's also cool about it is you can see how many devices you currently have connected. And it shows you right now there's 3 Wi-Fi devices connected as well as 4 wired devices. What's cool about this one is we only plugged in 1 wire in the back on port number 2, but it shows 4. This is due to the fact that the blue cable we plugged in the back goes to our switch in the basement, which then goes to our hardwired network devices. Oh, you can see now we have 4 devices connected via Wi-Fi. Anyway, you click one more time and you can see your actual download and upload speed. I'm just going to go to the speed test app and I'm just going to start it over Wi-Fi. And you can see how it starts downloading. Yeah, our ISP max is out at 50, so 50 point, almost 51, ain't too bad. It's more or less steady around 50. And then now your upload, which should be 10, and it shows us 10. That's not too bad. Yeah, keep in mind this app is done on the speed test app on my iPhone. It's not done on the device itself. It has a built-in speed test, but to me it's not really that reliable. Therefore I use the free speed test app from the App Store. But long story short, everything is routed through here, so this is what it shows. So if you do some macOS updates, it usually also maxes out at 50, and yeah, that's the point when the internet radio stops playing as well. But anywho, you click one more time and you can see which ports are connected, which I think is not really that useful because you can just look around the back. But anyway, in case you happen to care about this, you can see you have your power connected, you have your ISP connected, and you have port 2, the gigabit Ethernet connected. Yeah, and that was about it. So now you've seen how you set it up. Pretty simple. You plug in 3 wires, more or less. You can also just plug in 2. So you plug in your power and you plug in your ISP and you're ready to go. So if you made it to the end of the video by now, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and there's going to be a new video coming next week. So stay tuned for that one.